Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Ultimatum, Queer Ultimatum, Season 2, Episode 4. My name is Brittany Simon. We do philosophy through pop culture. So remember, we are using real people's lives to learn more about ours. Where we left off is the girls have been paired up. They have chosen their 3-week trial wife. The episode is called Secret Rendezvous. So now, obviously, that implies that the girls will be meeting up, maybe with people they shouldn't be. Let's see what happens.
Tell me something. Is there anything that scares you about being with me?
You're great. I don't regret my choice at all. Like, I'm really proud to have walked out of there with you. Like, are you kidding?
So
are
nothing
you not?
scares you about us?
Back to that question.
Yes.
I don't know yet.
Don't answer my own question. I don't think there's nothing that scares me about you. When I tell you, I absolutely, and I'm say it to the cows come home, I absolutely could not have chosen a better person to do this with. I'm so appreciative of just who you are as a person.
So, okay, AJ's on a date with Marie, and they are having a really good time. They're very in love, in quotation marks. They're very excited to be with one another. It's like they're in that honeymoon phase, except that AJ said something interesting. She said, I think that's just who I am. Because Marie was saying, like, everyone's on their P's and Q's right now. But that's the question. Are you putting your best foot forward on the date, on the first date? And or what does putting your best foot forward even mean? We grew up in a culture that tells us to kind of like fake the first date, only show the good stuff. But the truth is that the good stuff should be the majority of the stuff. So your first date should be the closest to what living with you and being with you for the rest of my life will look like. If we're being serious about unionship, if we're being serious about companionship, I think. Because see, in the past, when I was dating people and life got hard, they took it out on each other. And not to bring it around to MasterChef, but you know how much I love watching MasterChef. We just watched this episode where somebody under stress, who initially was like the sweetest character to people, became sort of like mean and ugly because under stress, they called people names and cussed at people. Think about it. When your partner is stressed, do they take it out on you? When your partner is stressed, do they take it out on the kids? When your partner is stressed, do they take it out on the dog? So make sure, you're bonding with the person who can handle stress. So what's curious is this situation stressful enough for the girls for them to build some understanding of how the other does under stress?
My worst fear in this process is if my partner falls in love. I never really thought if I fell in love that would be my worst fear. Cheers.
Oh, Marie. Oh, Mom, we'll see whose biggest fear is about to come true.
To
New beginnings.
new beginnings.
Thank you.
Lay it on me.
A lot.
I want to be here for you in any way.
Thank
yeah.
you. That really means a lot. I feel like this was the ideal
ultimate
thing to do.
pick.
The ultimate pick. Yes.
I need to pee. Do you want me to get out for a sec?
No, I kind of want you in there.
Oh,
You want me in here?
Right now they're with Pilar and Kyle, but before we jump into their relationship, they just did a collage basically of all the girls and where they're at and how their daily life is going. And basically everyone looks really comfortable, which to be fair, I was not expecting otherwise because generally, I'm so generalizing, in queer communities from my lived experience, we're very comfortable very quick. So I'm actually not that surprised, but it was cute. It was like a little collage of all the girls together. And now we're zooming in on Pilar and Kyle. So let's see what happens.
We're feeling pretty good for sleeping for 5 hours. I normally am very grouchy. Do you have stuff like that?
Yeah, for sure. If I'm around people that are annoying, then I can't tolerate it for very long. I remember we were at a party once where she thought the conversation was boring. And she just started humming, and I'm like, you can't start humming.
Kyle was just talking about a social situation in which Bridget's kind of spontaneous and sort of rude, but also could be neurodivergent. But when Bridget's bored, she'll start humming. Or one time this happened where she started humming. And I think there's something to be said about social scripts and expectation of behavior and sort of what is considered rude and not considered rude. Look, I try never to be rude on purpose. The only time I'm rude on purpose is when I'm trying to prove a point. And if I'm rude, it's that's not my intent. I never set out to be rude. I also try not to be rude. And these are two different things. I don't know if Bridget in this moment is the kind of person who tries not to be rude, or if she genuinely didn't think it was rude, or because she thought the conversation was boring, she had the right to be rude. I'm not sure. Or maybe they were all in a neurodivergent space where fidgeting and stimming was okay. So maybe it wasn't rude at all. I'm not sure.
This is your first healthy relationship and that you're so sure that you want to get married of your first. How are you so sure?
I just am. I don't really get that questioning.
It's not like grass is greener syndrome. I am personally not trying to find something better. It's just the finality of it all is
Right. Yeah.
scary.
It's you're eating a good piece of cake, and you're are you sure this is as good as you think it is? Yeah, I am.
Well, it's you're gonna eat that cake for the rest of your life. Do you
Yeah,
want
and
to eat
I
that
love
cake for
it.
the rest
Why do I need something else?
You've had bad cakes your whole life.
Uh-huh.
And then you have a good cake, and then
Yeah,
you're
and
I'm gonna eat this cake for the rest of my life. That sounds like insane. You would want to try and be like, oh, this is a great cake. I'm sure there's other great cakes in the world. I want to try a great cake.
Really? That's how you would think?
If you were to simplify it like that.
It sounds really autistic, actually. So they're using this cake metaphor to explain relationships. And I'm not sure if Kyle is saying that Bridget is her first healthy relationship or Pilar is her first healthy relationship. I think she means Bridget because Kyle's the one who gave the ultimatum. So I'm a little, maybe you guys can clear me. What did you think? Because I'm a little confused on that. But I think there's something to be said about like the reliability of it all. So I had 3 adult toxic relationships, and I say toxic because they were mismatched. I met my now partner, and they are my first healthy adult relationship. 1, I was healthy. I'm post therapy. And 2, they and I met later in our lives versus in our early 20s. It just would have been different had we met then. And so now that we're older and we met after, that means we both did work on our own before we met each other. But it is my first healthy relationship. And I knew that this was the one after 6 months of dating. Also, for people who don't know, I also lived with 2 of my former partners versus this partner. I told them I didn't want to live with them until we were engaged because I wasn't interested in living with a partner again because I had already done it. And I already know that for me, living with somebody doesn't teach me more about them personally. I learned that for myself. But some people feel like they don't really know somebody until they live with them. So Pilar was saying that basically, if you have one good cake, then you might think, oh, there's so many other good cakes out there. Why would you settle on the first good cake you had? But I think as like an autistic girly, when I find a dessert I really like I'm obsessed with this vegan pudding right now. Yeah, I don't want anything else but this vegan pudding. But then one day I might want something else. But here's the thing about people. They're not cakes. They're people. And people are just a lot more important than cake.
Why do you need another one, you know?
It's not that you need another one. Why is that the only one?
Now, I will say this. I don't think Kyle is sure about Bridget because Bridget isn't sure about Kyle. So whatever Kyle is confident in with Bridget is wrong. Unless Kyle's talking about something else, Kyle is settling, whether Kyle knows it or not. So the dilemma is that Pilar is correct that when you're settling, there is a better cake out there for you. But when you're not settling and you find the love of your life, there is no better cake out there until they die. Then there's another cake that's out there. Because that's the whole point of being high compatibility. For that to be your person is for you to have found the human being who is so compatible with you that like to do life without them would make no sense because it's healthy, it's perfect, you're working together, it's not like it got placed in your lap, you're working towards something, right? Because we're human beings, we're not these magical things that perfectly align with other people. We're human beings who are dependent on our own introspection, our own willingness to engage with, values and ethics and our why am I here and why am I dating and why am I in love? Like all of these tools that we have as biological creatures gives us the ability to form different kinds of relationships with people. So it feels like in my mind, Kyle is settling. So when Kyle says like, I'm confident this is what I want, I would be curious what Kyle would be like with a high compatibility partner.
This is the one time I think you should be very selfish.
I guess.
All right, I'm on the way.
That's AJ on the phone. So they just showed with the cameras, Brittany and AJ both leaving the apartment, but I'm not sure if it's to meet each other or they're just making it look that way, but they're meeting each other late at night. This is Brittany. It looks like she's coming home, 1 a.m. Okay, this is Marie. Okay, Marie just opened the door to see AJ coming back to the apartment.
Are you awake?
AJ's so shocked. She's like, oh my God, Marie, are you awake? But like the dog is literally barking crazy. So AJ looks shocked. I can't believe you've been up this entire time. I'm so confused what's happening. It looks like AJ's trying to take the dog out. Maybe it looks like she's holding a leash. I'm not sure what just happened. It just said, like Marie said, are you okay? And then AJ said, it's a lot. And then that's it. Maybe Brittany called and said, hey, I really need you right now.
I did want to tell you, because it's kind of been looming on me. I wasn't like completely 100% honest with you.
Uh-oh.
I just wanted to come clean with you and tell you, like, I've seen Brittany twice.
Oh. Twice? Damn.
And hung out with her. I wanted to be transparent, clear with you, clarity, everything.
But it's already after the fact and it's been twice. And what has occurred between when you first saw Brittany and when you second saw Brittany and when you told Marie? Marie should dump AJ. I'm dead serious.
Just wanted you to know, like, I'm sorry. Moving forward, like that's not my concern. So I just wanted to like put it out there and let you know. From here on out, I'm completely invested and dedicated in this.
No, 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 no. Obviously, okay, I have a lot of thoughts. I keep fumbling like what I want to say, but here's what I want to say. I want to say that this experiment should force Marie to learn the lesson of who and when somebody's actually invested in her. So Marie's original partner is Mel, and Mel's the one who has a hard commitment issue, right? And now she's with AJ, who also has a commitment issue. And on top of that, has chosen to withhold information from her, which in this experiment, I think she is allowed to be, I think she's allowed to have access to, meaning, hey, are you seeing your ex when you're not supposed to be? Because that's, and for AJ to be like, oh, now that I've seen my ex twice, now I'm committed. It's like, no. It would be one thing if AJ said, hey, Brittany really needs me. Can I get your support in going to see her? And then Marie would have said, yeah, I get it. And then there could have been a good conversation. But the after the fact?
I appreciate that. I mean, you're in charge of your own grief. You'll deal with it in whatever way that you think is manageable.
Damn. Ooh. That was such like a therapy answer,
Appreciate that though.
And if there's anything that I can do that I'm not currently doing for you.
Maybe be honest and transparent ahead of time so you don't have to come out and say, I'm sorry and tell you after the fact.
I hope that you are able to express that to me and make sure like, you're getting what you need as well.
Yeah.
Damn, Marie was like really falling for AJ too.
I feel like a fool, honestly. I thought there was actually a connection there with AJ, and now I'm shutting down because I do not trust her.
Damn. I don't blame her. I would be so annoyed. I would have so been appreciative and I would just so respect AJ if she had come out ahead of time and said, I really need to be there for my ex. And I would have said, yeah, I get it. But also, yeah, the withholding is just so weird. Withholding the information is so weird.
God, work is working my nerves today. I would do anything to be in your position currently.
I bet you would.
I don't know what that was about. Did AJ literally not think Marie was going to be upset? Like, does AJ literally think this is just going to blow over? Like, does she not understand the implication of what just happened?
Ever felt so betrayed, and it's very lonely.
Oh.
Wow, you're so fancy. I don't want your dirty fingers touching my food.
Where would you like me to put my dirty fingers?
You're literally our chef.
Food and music are what bring people together.
I'm always having a great night with you. Did you think we would like each other so much?
Honestly, no.
Yeah, me
I
either.
thought that we would fight.
Okay. These two, funny enough, I thought they would be fighting more too. And I think it's reassuring that even they thought they'd be fighting more. I did too. I legit thought they'd be fighting, but they seem pretty happy right now. But they said they're doing the protect their peace kind of thing where I assume that means they're really just focusing in on each other, which is obviously helpful. But interesting. I'm kind of shocked.
I thought trust was gonna be actually like probably the thing I felt the least towards you. And it's like the thing I have the most. Like I trust you so much and I didn't think I would trust you even a little bit. I have mad trust issues.
I have mad trust issues. Interesting to be a person who goes, I have mad trust issues. Like, okay, I understand because when I was unhealed, I had major trust issues. I had a wall up. I was very like, you have to swim through 25 alligators and a moat around my house and a steel wall locked in. Obviously, I think this is the big difference between healing trauma and not healing trauma is after I went to therapy and did philosophical work and really worked on myself, I didn't feel this way. Like I didn't date saying I had trust issues. Like I didn't. I had worked. I'd become like securely attached, basically. It took a while. I mean, obviously I didn't go to therapy. And then the next day I was like, it took a long time. And it's one of those things that I worked on. But it is something that I do think is so different depending on when you're dating in your life. That's why I say 20s Brittany was going to be toxic. I was unhealed, right? Like how can I even start to date in a healthy way if I'm so unhealed myself? So I'm definitely one of those people that thinks like you do have to be like a certain level of healed before you're dating people. But not everyone's the same. And to be fair, like, your healing journey is your own. So some of us get unhealed. Some of us, when unhealed, get together with our partners and heal during that journey. And some people don't. I think it depends on how unhealed you are really. But I think it's interesting that Dana says I had mad trust issues, but I really trust you and I really believe you care about me. That's interesting, especially with Mel. Yeah. I wonder how real it is.
I really believe you care about me.
I do.
Do you know what I mean? I think a lot of trust is built in like knowing how much you mean to someone or how much you don't mean to someone or measuring where you mean to somebody. I feel like the more I think you care about me, the more my trust builds.
I like that you still are going on about how much you trust me, so I'm just gonna let you keep going.
Your actions align with the things you say.
It's interesting that they're at the end of the first week. So they're still in the first week of their trial marriages. I think it's the end of the first week, or at least it is still the first week. So yeah, kind of interesting how she said, I trust what you say because your actions follow what you say, or you say what you're going to do, you do it. And that's always interesting too. I mean, that's how you build trust with people, right? That's why the greatest rule in my relationship is don't overpromise. Because if you overpromise and overpromise and overpromise, eventually you're just a liar. Do not overpromise. Just say exactly what you can do and do that.
I feel like we take turns taking care of each other. And I feel very catered to. That's really nice. Really makes me feel very special.
Even my brain wants to say oh, in real life I would never do this, but this is their real life. And yeah, I just think it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see which couple is impacted because of the situation.
In the past, I would always give them a free pass to just do things however they wanted because it's just it's okay because they're my family. Honestly, it's not fair. Why does somebody deserve to be treated that way? Why do you not give them a chance and then you expect everything to be the same with me? Mm-hmm. It's very hurtful. Yeah.
Beautifully said by Megan, talking about her family and making an effort. But she said something interesting. She said, my family never took me seriously because I was so unsure. And I guess she means with being maybe a lesbian. I'm not sure. And I don't even know how many of the girls here are lesbians. And actually, I read that Kyle and Bridget are actually a they, she. So just interesting. And I don't know everybody else's pronouns or actual titles. So some of them might identify differently. But I just think that's so important for Megan to say that my family expects me to respect them because they're my family, but also they should respect my partner because it's my partner. And just talking about, navigating that because it's so difficult, but it's really important that eventually we leave our family and start our own. Like I always say, my partner and I, we're our own family now. Yes, we have connection and yes, we're all connected, but we are our own branch of the family. And even if you're single and you're an adult, especially if you're moved out and you should be moved out, because that's what freedom is, girls. Again, I know it's okay if you live with your parents because you get along with them. That's beautiful. But if you're like me and you need to move out because it's you're creating your own family. Even single, you're creating your own family. That's your lifestyle. Think Samantha from Sex and the City, girls. Samantha Jones, baby. Okay? Samantha does what she wants when she wants. That's the freedom of money and independent power. Okay? While still being a good community member, which Samantha is to the girls. So just keep that in mind when you're navigating your own life.
And for them to not even be taken seriously, that's not something that I want for myself. I get sad about it. It's could I have done something better?
I always think about this, which is so unfair, but one of the dilemmas of being the minority in the family, so being the gay kid, is when you bring around a partner, it's almost like you're proving to them your love is real, but you don't even get the chance to bring around partners that aren't compatible. You know what I mean? Oh, my allergies are so bad today. So if Megan brings around Dana, but Dana isn't even her partner, her parents are ugh, see, this isn't a real relationship. You guys aren't even compatible. So it's almost like the parents make it harder on their kids to bring around the partner that's going to prove that their gayness is real. That's just another layer of what I'm thinking could be a reality. I'm not saying it's happening, but it just sounded like it.
Part of why my family takes me so seriously is just because I make a decision and that's what I'm going with, and my way or the highway, they can take it or leave it.
Interesting. I mean, there's something about it, right? You got to stand your ground. You're an adult. You're going to live your own life. They can take it or leave it.
I feel like I'm still learning to read you.
Well, earlier today, sorry if I've seen in my head.
Are you okay, or?
I think I am feeling better now.
What was going on?
I think it's just so many new things all happening so fast, new environment, new partner.
Sure.
It just set in to
No, I feel.
Please tell me Kyle is autistic. Ain't no way. They, she, both pronouns feel so autistic to me. The transition, it's difficult. It's new people, a little bit more reserved, very steady, very consistent. Please tell me Bridget is ADHD and Kyle is autistic. And please tell me this is not hilarious. And I will just tell you, as the autistic person to an ADHD partner, it is so clear how differently we do things. It is very funny.
Have someone that I feel chemistry or something with this person.
You feel chemistry with me.
And then it's oh, now you're gonna have a trial marriage together. I know, logically, I know that's why we're here.
Yeah.
But so, emotionally, I'm
I know. No, I know.
It's got to feel like cheating a little bit to flirt with someone who isn't your regular partner, even though you all consented to be on the show.
I'm just curious how you aren't dealing with the same inner turmoil that I am.
I am.
You are? It seems much easier for you.
How so?
To be flirty and affectionate.
Feeling it too, and it's so hard to articulate, we've been having this chemistry, and yeah, I didn't expect this either. It just makes things more confusing.
Okay, so they've obviously edited it in a very particular way, so I'm going to keep that in mind. Haley and Pilar were together for 10 years, right? Out of high school, basically. And Kyle and Bridget were together 2.5 years. Now, they're obviously not high compatibility partners, period. But Haley is really adorable, and she's with Megan right now, and I think they'd be a really compatible little matchup there. But at the same time, it's interesting because Pilar does feel like somebody who's still looking outside the relationship. Like she's not satisfied in her relationship. 10 years, and she's afraid to get married, which, you know, might be an indication that they got together too young and grew apart, which happens, or that the relationship was good for 10 years but won't be in the future. I don't know. There's something to be said about it. Like after 10 years and you're not sure if you want to marry me, like, it's okay, girl. Thank you for being with me for my teens and my 20s. I love you. This life has been amazing. Let's go do something else. Like, free me in a sense. And the fact that she's like interested in other pieces of cake, going back to the beginning, indicates to me. So her and Kyle might actually be better suited. They seem very compatible. Though I would love to know how Kyle's mind works more because, you know, she said like, why aren't you struggling with this internal turmoil that I'm struggling with? And Pilar said, I am, but they have different ways of dealing with it. I would love to see the conversation unedited. I really feel like Netflix had to edit a lot of that. And I would love to see it unedited just to get a better grasp of how the girls' brains work. But, yeah, interesting. Lots to consider here. Lots of possibilities.
So I feel bad because I feel like I'm like being a bad influence on you right now.
We'll make all the bad decisions together.
We do.
And then regret it later.
Yeah.
Dana just said, I feel like I'm being a bad influence on you. Yeah, that's not a good sign. You want your partner to be a good influence on you. The only kind of bad influence your partner can be is you want to stay up all night and watch anime and then cuddle after. Otherwise, like, I don't like the idea that like someone's like, ooh, I'm a bad influence on you. And it's like, for real though? Because like, I kind of need you to be a good influence.
I don't process things quickly. I have to think and feel things to really figure out like where I'm at with them and understand them. And I finally let that hit me.
Okay, maybe trauma induced, maybe neurodivergency, but I mean, we all need time to transition into like, what now? This is new. How do I feel about it?
We're not gonna have a single regret. This experience forces you to like such a level of vulnerability and closeness with someone. It's so real.
And that's the question about the ethics around these shows. Because the show puts you in a position to feel vulnerability so quickly and so differently than real life in quotations, brings into question the ethics of the show because then you do things you'd never do outside the show, which is why it's an experiment. It's basically a social experiment.
Ran into Mel and Dana at the pool. I know that Mel saw me, but there was zero eye contact. After that, I was feeling so much panic. AJ and I are not aligned on anything.
Oh, Marie, no.
I stand to lose everything. My relationship, my business, the person who I wanted to be with forever.
Oh, this is so hard.
They both look at me and Dana doesn't say hi, she doesn't say anything. Instead, she looks over at Mel and she's just like, oh shit, like, you know, she's there.
Oh, shoot. I get it. Okay, it just clicked. So Mel and Dana are protecting their peace by basically ignoring everybody and pretending they don't exist. So Mel didn't acknowledge Marie when she saw her at the pool. And now Megan is saying that Dana ignored her as well and kind of like did one of these things. So is the reason the relationship is going, quote, well, because they're ignoring the reality that they actually came here with different people? Do you know what I'm saying? Is it almost like a trick? Like they said bubble earlier in the kitchen. Oh, we're just like in this bubble together. Maybe that's the problem. It's like you are in this bubble together. What are you going to do when it pops?
The person that I thought was going to marry can't come up to me and just treat me the way that I deserve, then I don't want it.
Okay, so now Megan is like, if this is the person I was going to marry is going to treat me this way, I'm out. But the thing is that Dana probably feels like I wanted to marry you and you didn't want to marry me. And then it feels like all of these things back and forth where it's like, you guys are here because they're a partner. The love of your life gave you an ultimatum and you said no, basically. Or in Mel's case, Mel said not yet and Marie was interested. And so then it begs the question about why did the people who gave ultimatums end up with people who didn't? Like, or who wouldn't accept, who didn't give the ultimatum. It's just like a weird decision. But I don't know. I could kind of see from Dana's perspective being annoyed with Megan for being so needy when you wouldn't marry her. And then I can see from Marie's position, why it's so hurtful to see Mel, who said no to marriage, but now all of a sudden you want to marry Dana. Now, to be fair, maybe that's the point, is that this wasn't your person and that none of these people are probably your people, but you're going to learn a lot about yourself through the process.
But at the same time, it's like my feelings have grown for Dana.
She says we both have exes we care about, but not enough to say hi to them at the pool.
Now we're kind of just seeing like, okay, what does this mean?
They're kissing. They're the first couple who's kissed, I think.
Dana has showed me that Marie could possibly not be the right person for me.
That was probably obvious, for before you met Dana, but sometimes, I get it. Yeah, it's always interesting. Like, do you know yourself in order to communicate to the person you're with? And the truth is, most people don't know themselves. That's why a lot of us get into the wrong relationships. It's certainly why I was in all the wrong relationships when I was young. I didn't know myself.
God, they're so pretty. Thank you.
Marita has just been very supportive of Brittany, and Brittany's been very open and vulnerable. And I just like to see like the friendship of it all.
I did see my ex briefly. I don't think Marita knows. So I do feel now in hindsight bad.
What do you mean? I don't think Marita knows that you saw AJ. How would she know that? Not that then they're not really dating, these two, to be fair. But also, it's funny that Brittany's like, I don't know if she knows. What do you mean you don't know if she knows that, Brittany?
Closure, I feel like that's warranted.
And not that she owes Marita anything because they're not actually traditionally dating. Though I don't know if Marita, from her her perspective, they are, because that would be really painful. If Marita thinks they're dating, Brittany better tell her. But if she doesn't think they're dating, then I don't necessarily think that's necessary. Do you know what I'm saying? Does that kind of make sense? But I don't know now. I don't know why I expected it out of AJ to maybe be secretive, maybe because she gives that player kind of like attitude. She's flirting with everybody, blah, blah. But Brittany doesn't. So I didn't expect Brittany not to be transparent, I think. I don't know.
How this would really benefit us or change our relationship. And that's really what I needed to like start my child marriage. Just go for it, yeah, just run it.
Interesting. So Brittany said that her and AJ got together basically for closure. And it's what she needed to start her child marriage. So does she feel like the marriage officially just started now and her and Marita really are dating now?
I feel like I don't do this at home.
I do like every
More of a
day.
DoorDasher.
Marita wanting romance, that is valid. And I'm gonna show her a little bit of my daddy energy tonight.
Well, maybe you could show her your daddy energy by telling her what happened, by being honest and transparent.
I don't have to ask you to do anything or like be attentive. Like you're just doing it. And it's so cute.
They just complimented each other. They're having a good time. They've been married a week. They feel good. Marita is like really throwing herself into it. I feel bad. Is she gonna get blindsided?
I feel so good. Me too. I'm so happy. I'm like so happy right now. I've been told I'm not really like a sensitive romantic person, and I've been told that in not just Marita and I's relationship, literally every other girl I've dated.
Yeah.
One of my very first relationships in college, couldn't have any friends because if I did, she would think that I was like cheating on her.
Whoa. Okay, this is Ashley. Finally getting to know Ashley a little bit. Ashley also has that really like autistic monotone way of talking that makes me interested to know more about her and how she thinks, and like, is she neurodivergent? Is she not? And then she's explaining a toxic relationship she had in college where the girl wouldn't even want her to have friends. She would accuse her of cheating. This is bad. And I want to make a video about this, a podcast about this, because as somebody who's been cheated on, I just need you guys to know, like, it really does not fuck you up for life if you do the healing. It fucked me up when it first happened. It was like really confusing because I felt like I was such an open and communicative partner. I felt like I gave such a safe space for my partner to communicate. It was so confusing. But I realized like that was just them. Like they were just the person who they were always just going to make bad decisions. Like I had nothing to do with the relationship. But I also want you to know that like, yes, cheating is abuse, but like you can heal from abuse with the work. And I just want to give people that sense of hope, because sometimes I read comment sections and people are like, you never come back from this. You never come back from an abusive relationship. Yes, you do. And if you keep telling yourself you're never going to get better, girl, you won't. Okay. So like you can get better. It's not easy, but it's possible. You know, that's what I learned in therapy is like, it's not easy, but it's possible. And you got to know that it's possible. And maybe that takes time to believe it because it's hard to believe it. But you can get better. And so, you know, when you date toxic and you have this background and you have these horrible things that have happened, you really start to internalize it's you until you learn to respect the fact that people are really themselves. And we are all on independent journeys together. And at the end of the day, like adults make their own decisions. And that's why you have to do the right thing, even when nobody else is doing the right thing. Because even when you do the right thing, some people will choose to do the wrong thing. See, we get into our heads that people cheat because we did something wrong. You could do absolutely nothing wrong and somebody could still cheat on you. And I need you to understand that. And even if you do something wrong, that doesn't mean that person has is justified to cheat now. Because that's not how we should be in the world. We shouldn't do bad because other people did bad, right? So just hearing Ashley talk about like the feedback she's gotten from other partners, being in a toxic relationship, being with somebody who doesn't let you have friends because they're worried you're gonna cheat. That's crazy. That does just crazy stuff to you, you know?
Toxic as hell. Like she actually physically like abused me.
Oh my God. And she was physically abused? Yeah, I like Ashley so far. I'm sad for her. And she was with Marita and before. So You know, that's just interesting.
And there was a lot of screaming and yelling at me. The cops got called because she was like trying to throw a Jack Daniels bottle at my head.
Oh my
my
God.
roommate was honestly freaked out.
That's so messed up.
Yeah, the cops got called and I was like, no, I'm good. Like, I'm not hurt. Like, I just like lied for her.
Oh my God, Ashley has been through it. This is not with Marita. This is her relationship in college.
And then they
loved her,
left. I
probably.
thought they left, but they were still outside of my house with my roommate watching in. And then we were like arguing, and then she like ran at me and like shoved me to the ground. And then they came bursting in the door and like arrested her. And I was like,
This is intense. It's such a big deal. It's such a big deal for us to realize like bad traumatic situations, especially when they happen young, can make us feel like this is the rest of our life, but it's not. Okay. This is not the rest of your life. This is just this moment. And it seems like Ashley must have done the work because it feels like she's much better in a sense. And I wonder if she went to therapy or did something else. But I also wonder how this plays a role in her relationship with Marita.
and I had to go in court and I just like lied for her.
Oh
so
my
that she wouldn't
God.
get charged.
Wow. She said she went to court for her or because of the situation and she even lied to protect her. Very common for abuse victims to lie for their abusers because we see the good in them and you just want to believe they'll get better. But the truth is like, you know, it's still their responsibility to get better and they shouldn't hurt you just because they're, you know, in pain or have experienced trauma themselves, you know?
Thanks for sharing. And
Yeah, I just like
you can tell
that.
me anything, obviously. I honestly don't know how you are so strong, and I get a sense of confidence from you.
Yeah,
I just like don't know how you've gotten there.
I never talked about it to anybody. I don't know if I would be this open with most other people.
Interesting. Ashley said, I don't know if I'd be open with most other people. And yet here she is open with all of us and Netflix.
Is it paper?
Excuse me. Are we doing a little sensory BDSM? What are we doing here? A little sensory play?
Tell me what you want. Tell me what you need. I can make you feel like you're in the face.
Okay.
Everybody right.
Listen to me when I say a flogger made out of plastic is gonna hurt. Okay, as somebody who owns many floggers, that is gonna hurt if that is not made out of something nice. Oh no. I wish vanillas would practice like kink a little safer, but you know, what do I know?
I never really expected a lot of intimacy until I started getting it. And I was like, this feels nice. Like I like to like, if we're sitting down and just like a little, like that.
Yeah.
That's nice. I like a little bit of kisses not on the lips.
Yeah.
Like on the cheek or on the forehead or like, you know.
I like a good amount of like spontaneity. I just think sex is really important in a marriage. A lot of the time, it also can be like an indicator of like how things are going.
Yeah.
And like if you are having sex regularly, like not that everything's fine, but like I would say more like if you're not, that's when like there is probably something like going on or like an issue.
It's all about the why. Why are we having sex so often? Because, you know, if you're having sex every day, twice a day, maybe you're doing it because you're coping and you're never trying to think and you're just trying to keep the chemistry up and you're never trying to be like a real adult in a real relationship. Or maybe you're having sex infrequently because, you know, XYZ. It's like, it's why. It's not the, for me, it's not the frequency, it's the why. Because the why is everything, you know? I will also say the conversation about who would you rather initiate, you or your partner? Yeah, I don't want to play, I, in my relationship, would not want to have the anxiety of who's initiating. It just feels so natural. Like there is no like initiator. There's just like communication. I guess like initiator makes it sound like there's one person waiting to be chased or one person waiting to do the chasing versus just like, I don't know, you're adults, you're hanging out, you're in the kitchen, somebody slaps somebody's booty and then all of a sudden it's like, to me, everything is so casual and so lovey-dovey and so normal and so light and so like you don't have to overthink it. But maybe when you're just dating, when you're starting out dating, it's a little different. This is why I say like I love being married to like my best friend because then it feels like, you know, you're hanging out with the girls and then all of a sudden you're hanging out inside the girls. You know what I'm saying? It's just like normal, casual, fun. I don't know.
Have conversations and check in. I think it's also important to have sex. Yeah.
Do we think they're gonna have sex? Is that what they're saying? Is that what she's saying?
You make your life intentionally complex, and I can simplify it. I need you too much right now, and that worries me. I'm becoming too dependent on how you feel, and like we're literally sharing a brain cell at this point.
The last one that we both have.
Because even the times we could do things apart, we don't. If you have an errand, I want to go with you.
Okay, very good self-awareness. She's afraid of being too codependent with Mel. Dana says, like, you leave the house and I go with you even when I don't have to. Look, as a married person, I don't want to do anything alone if I don't have to, but if I have to, I will. But also, it's like, why? But also, I grew up with siblings where I would scream, like, I'm going to Ralph's to grab milk. Who wants to come with me? And somebody would jump in the car and go with me. So I kind of feel like it's also could be the way you're raised. So why does Dana, why is she worried it's codependency? And is that true? Because if she's doing it because she's afraid of losing Mel, that's bad. If she's doing it because she's really excited to go with her and she wants to do everything with her, that's different. But, same thing. Like if I refuse to go to the store unless my sibling is with me because I was afraid of the store, that'd be an indication of something. But it's more like, hey, does anyone want to come with me? Because it's just like, it's better with people. But also I'm happy to go alone if I have to. I used to love taking myself out to dinner. Actually, you know what's funny? I prefer to go grocery shopping with a friend, but I prefer to take myself out for dinner by myself. Maybe not over going with a friend, but kind of sometimes. I really like taking myself out. At least when I was single, definitely. But at the same time, when I lived with my siblings, why would I go out for sushi and not take them? Do you know what I mean? Like if I'm already roommating with my siblings and I was going to go get sushi, why wouldn't I go with them? So it kind of feels like, why are you doing what you're doing, right? And also, earlier in the show, was it Mel? Who said it? Music and food bring people together. Exactly. So opportunities for bonding and intimacy occur in those everyday things. Because I'll tell you this, the opposite of somebody who wants to go shopping with you every time you go for the right reasons, there's the wrong reasons of never wanting to go with you, never wanting to spend time with you, never wanting to do household stuff with you, never you're going to feel separated from your partner. So it's kind of like a balance. It's all about the why.
Whoever's in our lives has to accept that we're in each other's lives. I just think it'd be so crazy to develop this close of a relationship with someone just to never speak again. That sounds.
Oh, so Dana, I don't know if she means it this way, but she's implying that even if they don't end up together romantically, whoever we end up with has to be okay with us being friends. Yeah, that seems a little unhealthy to me, like a little crazy. Just like a little I don't know about that.
After this, potentially, we're all engaged to be married.
Slow your roll.
How long would you plan your wedding then? Wait to have kids?
I don't know. I want a really big wedding. It's one of those once in a life.
Kids? Mel doesn't even want kids. Marie wants kids. Mel doesn't even want kids.
At least a year. At least a year. Probably 2 years.
Okay.
I don't know. It's like more than ever, I doubt myself. Am I good enough to be a good wife?
Oh, absolutely. I think.
Yeah, am I ready to be a good wife? No, not yet. But you're 25 and you still have a lot of growing to do. No. I don't think Mel or Dana are ready to be somebody's wife. But my standard of being a parent and being someone's wife is higher than the average person, hence the divorce rate.
If I really had someone who truly just understood me and saw me and heard me, why wouldn't I want to be with them?
Hold on, I gotta think about that question. If I was with somebody who saw me and understood me, why wouldn't I want to be with them? And I'm assuming she means coincides with values and agrees on values. The issue is I don't think any of these girls know what their values are. They don't really know what they want for the future. They're still all just traumatized and kind of unhealed. So I wonder who they will be when they're healed. Sometimes I see the people in my life that I love the most who are really, really struggling. And I just I hope every day to interact with the healed version of them. And sometimes I see really fucked up people on the internet and just think who would you be if you were healed? Because definitely a different person.
We went out dancing and she was trying to kiss me. And I was like, I don't want to do that right now. And then when we were about to leave, she just walked up and started making out with me. I could have stopped her. I didn't. But I just didn't love how it went down. And it was just, a mistake.
Oh. Okay. I believe in informed consent. So I think the best way to do that would have been for Pilar to say, Kyle, I would like to kiss you. Is that okay? And if Kyle said no, Kyle said no. The dilemma I find in these types of TV shows, because it usually attracts very unhealed people, and typical culture says to go for it, just kiss her. It creates a combination of these types of situations. Do I think Pilar was being a sexual predator? No. By the sound of it, do I think Pilar should deconstruct the idea of what flirtatious behavior should look like in a healthy dynamic that believes in informed consent? Yes, I think we all should. But I think that's the dilemma, especially if they had been drinking or intoxicated. There's a whole other layer to that. But yeah, this is really difficult in these types of situations. They really encourage the messiness. They really encourage it. And Pilar also identifies as a more spontaneous, outgoing person. And Pilar has also never been with anybody else. So Kyle wanting to take it slow makes a lot of sense to me because of who they are as a person. And then Pilar wanting to jump into it also makes sense to me as a more spontaneous, keep it alive. I think her and Bridget were specifically talking about, quote, keeping the magic alive. And I really think so much abuse and toxicity and consent violation is avoidable if we trained people better and had more conversations and also accepted that we would be messy. And when we overstep a boundary, it's our job to pull back and have that person reinforce it and have us apologize and say I'm so sorry. I'm surprised Pilar went for it a second time after Kyle said no. That's the part where I'm hey, why did you think to go for it again? And maybe it's the lack of experience, or maybe they haven't been reading a lot of consent books. but they're kind of like old. Hold on here. Pilar's 29, Kyle's 30. Like, Kyle already said no, so why did you go for it a second time? I don't know. Let's see if they explain it.
I just wasn't like comfortable making out, and then that did happen, and it was fine, it was fun, but I just like don't want anyone to get hurt.
I feel terrible about that.
Yeah, and I really don't want you to.
I did not come in here with the intention to like light shit up, and this is like a terrifying experience. I just feel a lot of like guilt because it feels like everyone's like, why are you so okay with this?
No.
And I'm not.
Okay, so it feels like Kyle doesn't feel assaulted. Kyle feels concerned that they've gone outside the boundaries of their previous relationships and might have hurt, Haley or Bridget's feelings by engaging in this behavior. And it sounds like Pilar feels a lot of guilt because she looks like the partner who's okay with it. But she's actually, I can't tell if she's testing herself or trying to force herself almost to like experiment. You know what I mean? Versus actually just like throwing herself in like Dana and Mel are. So Dana and Mel are, they're just going for it. Okay, they're like making out, they're into each other, they're talking about blowing each other forever. These girls though, the other girls are all hesitating. All the other girls are being like very worried about their previous relationships.
I just feel stupid,
Why?
I'm like losing myself like in this. More guilt, I'm like, am I not thinking of like Haley like enough? Like what am I doing? Like that's not what I'm here for, is to like forget her, Trying not to, overthink things. I'm trying to embrace what this is and like be open.
It feels like Kyle has a habit of wanting to comfort people, but I wonder if it comes at the expense of their own feelings. So I would like to know how Kyle really feels about it. And then Pilar does feel like she's really struggling to center herself in the experiment, which I can see. And I wonder why that is. What is happening in Pilar's head that isn't happening in Haley's head?
I just like don't know how to proceed really.
Yeah, me neither.
Stress me out is if we're wanting two different things from this experience. I was trying to make it clear where my line was, and I didn't feel like that was respected.
It takes two to tango, and like I've been consistently respecting your boundaries and like trying to check in and make sure that a line isn't crossed. And then it's like, how did you feel about like cuddling? And you're like, that's normal. And then it's clearly like you're feeling some type of way, or like you're thinking that I'm wanting more or trying something. So that I'm like, okay, then.
You're saying you're not trying something?
No.
Okay. I just think you're like extra affectionate in your words, and you just were saying a lot of things. I was like, wait.
Hold up. So Kyle said they don't feel respected. Valid. Pilar says, I'm confused because you asked me to cuddle. Then also, and I thought she was going to say, you asked me to cuddle, which led me thinking you wanted more. But instead she said, you wanted to cuddle. But then you, Kyle, perceived me as pursuing you more than I did, which now I'm confused about. Okay, let's see.
I know you expressed and like you like words of affirmation. Like I'm gonna give them words of affirmation, like.
So that's what you're doing.
I feel like I'm trying to like be, just like show up
just
for you.
Like playing a game.
Oh
or
wow.
something.
Okay.
Oh.
Like
I mean, that's what you're saying.
I mean, like, don't get it twisted. Like, I don't know what you think I'm here to do, and if you think like I'm like trying to flirt with you or like lead you on or like do something in the moment, like that's incredibly hurtful.
If you feel differently about this relationship than I do, then I don't want to somehow.
What, like hurt my feelings?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Like you think that I'm like in love with you. Like that's not how I feel about you either. Like I care for you. I thought this was like a mutual like attraction thing. Like I am not trying to make you do something that you don't want to do. I acted on impulse because I thought it was mutual. It's not like you haven't been giving anything and you're saying no, and like I came on to you. Like I feel like that's incredibly unfair to paint it that way. Like,
well, interesting. I would say, based off of everyone's communication style, Pilar does seem to lack, most of the world lacks this, so she's not special, a really good understanding of negotiating consent. Okay, Kyle, I am a little biased. I really like Kyle. I feel like I could communicate really well with a Kyle, but I think I'm pursuing Kyle, or I think I'm perceiving Kyle in an through an autistic lens. And I don't know if it's just because I'm autistic, but I'm seeing Kyle through that lens, which means I want to be extra clear with my communication and extra on the table, which I am with everybody, by the way, everybody. But I think with a Kyle, I would just be so explicit. So we're on the same page. So there was no mistakes in the behavior, even though people make mistakes. So now Pilar is getting defensive over the insinuation that she forced Kyle into anything. But then Kyle likes words of affirmation. So Pilar felt like that's what she was doing. And then Kyle felt like it was a game. Listen, when I say you can take two good people, but if you try to push them together, they can make each other horrible. This is kind of what I mean. This is why I say like high compatibility partners have to be the values, the ethics, the morals, the resume, your job, your lifestyle, what you're aiming for. And it has to be, I like you as a person. We're compatible sexually and intimately. And the attraction I feel for you is on the same page. Because it does feel like Pilar wants to enjoy a different piece of cake. And Kyle is really happy with the cake that they're eating. And so it's already a mismatch. Okay, it's already a mismatch that like Pilar wouldn't say yes to a relationship and Kyle's the one who put down the ultimatum, right? So like, you know, Pilar was given the ultimatum. So this is already a mismatch. It is like a perfect storm. This was preventable. Like in many ways, this whole thing was preventable if everybody had the skills, if everybody had the tools. I really do think most of the bad of the world is preventable. Most, not all, because there's some bad people out here, but most of the evil of the world is preventable. I think it's taught. I think it's conditioned into people. Okay. Let's see what happens.
That's definitely how you're making it come out to be. I can take the brunt of it if like you don't want it to look some way.
Oh my God.
Fine.
Yeah, the edit is making Pilar look really defensive and definitely in the wrong. And it's making Kyle look like somebody who's doing the emotional labor, who's doing like the extra work, who's, you know, being like, who had their consent violated and is still having to do emotional labor for the person who violated it. So that's difficult. I wonder how they're going to solve this. And I am comparing it to so I'm watching the other Netflix show, Perfect Match, and that has some of the people from Ultimatum, from Love is Blind. And it's a very different dating show. It's very like, obviously like very casual and very silly. But of course we know AD and Ollie from Perfect Match actually end up being each other's perfect match. And now they're married with a kid. So we know people can meet each other through these things and be high compatibility partners because they seem really, I'm not saying that they are, but so far they seem incredibly well matched. But they're both from Love is Blind. AD is from a US Love is Blind and Ollie's from UK Love is Blind. And they have a lot of overlap. And I do see their compatibility, but I don't know every detail about their relationship. I can see them matching up, but it does force kissing situations and sleeping on top of each other and taking shots with each other. And like those kind of shows, like, oh, like, will they get naked in front of each other? Like it's a very different context than this show. And so each show brings its own level of pressure. And that's why these shows are considered, in my opinion, social experiments more than anything else, because you just never know what's going to come up. Not to mention the amount of trauma everybody is talking about. And we act like that's not going to come up. You know what I mean?
Come on, I know that it's not just you. Like, obviously, I've been cuddling, we've been affectionate.
Pretty sauce on you now, I don't know.
Why? Like,
oh, what is happening? See, Kyle would fit in so good with my Seattle friends because we can cuddle and be affectionate and it not mean anything. It's just, I love you. You're my friend. Come here. Like, it feels like there are queer bubbles where like you just love each other, but you're not supposed to take it a step further. And other bubbles where if you're being affectionate, that's a sign to go a step further. I don't like those bubbles. I don't want me cuddling with you to be a signal for you to kiss me. I just want to cuddle. When I said I wanted to cuddle, I meant I just wanted to cuddle. But that's because that's like, to be fair, these are niche communities that value consent in this way. So maybe Pilar is just really normie. Yeah, maybe that's the problem.
I just need a second to, okay.
I didn't like that edit either. Pilar saying, I'm sus on you now. I'm like sus of you now. Like, what?
It's my song.
Stressed.
Can we be done?
Oh. When she says, can we be done? I'm assuming she's talking to the cameramen more than even Kyle, but maybe not.
It's just like an attack of my character.
And so now Pilar is upset because Kyle said, are you like playing a game with me? But that's why I wonder if Kyle's autistic, because as an autistic person, it genuinely feels like everybody's playing a social game. And I'm like, why are you playing a game? Just tell me straight. But it's because the world trains us like it's a game. Like the world says, like, when she looks at you for 3 seconds or longer, that's your time to move in. Girl, I do not have time for this. Do you want to kiss me or not? You know, so maybe Kyle is saying, hey, are you playing a game with me? Like, oh, using my love language, my words of affirmation to make me feel vulnerable to be with me? Is that what you're doing? And Pilar's like, are you accusing me of playing a game? Because now you're accusing Pilar of being like a player or ill-intentioned, which is like sort of interesting because if I recall, Pilar accused AJ of being a player and manipulative when she and Bridget were talking about. AJ's bad intentions. It's coming full circle. I really feel for Kyle. I am all about, Team Kyle. Not that I don't like Pilar, but I like her less now. And just like that, the episode ends, of course, with both pans on the, it doesn't matter. It's the end. That's it. That's all we got. Great. Cliffhanger, bros. Netflix. So now we're on a cliffhanger. So many thoughts. I would love to hear your thoughts. I feel for everybody. I'm sad for everybody. I could never do this to myself. And I say this as a YouTuber who's had her own drama on the internet. Man, give me YouTube drama any day because this feels way more intense. It feels way more intense. At least YouTube drama, I'm in control of my own YouTube. At least I can actually tell my own truth. Versus Netflix, they edit you. They pan on your face when you didn't even make that expression. Like, I could not trust Netflix with my edit. Let me just tell you. I would rather just go stream, no edit, than Netflix where they edit. You know what I'm saying? It makes me feel bad. Damn. Oh, I'm sad for Kyle. I mean, I'm sad for Pilar, but in a different way, like for different reasons. I am sad that we do not train children and therefore we do not train adults to communicate better and clearer about what we want. And we actually do train kids to play games in order to get what they want. I always say the best way to make a kid a liar is to punish them for telling the truth. So remember that as parents, that the people who make their kids the greatest liars in the world are the people who raise them. Punish them for telling the truth. And this is why I say punishment never works. Study after study has been done. It might temporarily bring out good behavior, but it's not a permanent fix. We must give people an opportunity to tell the truth and be held accountable for the bad things that they do, understanding that it's okay that you made a mistake or did something bad. It's okay because you're about to make it right. It's not okay that you did it. You are still a good person because you're going to make it right. It's when we do bad and we don't make it right that we solidify the continuation of the cycle of bad. So we want to break the cycle, pop it, pop the bubble, break the cycle by actually making amends, right? Okay, let's see in next episode how Pilar makes amends, because she'll have to, or let's see what happens because I'm not sure. With that said, let's end here. I will see you for the next time. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment in the section down below, and share this with somebody else watching this series because I'd also like to hear what they think, especially about this episode. Okay, talk to you soon. Bye-bye.